Welcome to the rabbit hole! We fucking love you!
Welcome to the rabbit hole.
You fucks!
That was aggressive.
I'm sorry. I'm just excited to see y'all.
We had this like peaceful, like, I don't even know what it was.
This,
it wasn't very peaceful either. What the fuck was it? Welcome to the rabbit hole.
Yeah, welcome.
You probably think that we are just tripping like every other day down in this rabbit hole because we are back at you with another trip report.
Damn, dog.
See, psychedelics have been, as Terrence McKenna said to use them, large doses infrequently. I'm a believer in that. I think infrequently is the best way to take psychedelics, or best, what's the word to say that? You know what I'm saying. Take psychedelics infrequently is probably the best way to go. And sometimes you take a trip unexpectedly. Sometimes you plan one out. Regardless of the case, when one of us likes to trip, first thing you got to do is hit up your boy and go over that shit. So yeah, we're just going to kick this shit off because he literally hasn't told me about it. So it's just, I'm curious as fuck. How deep did you go, sir? Gel tabs or blotter?
They're blotters. But I would say if I had to guess at, I don't know, it was intense. 500-600 mics maybe.
Woo! Okay, so about what time in the day did you take this?
I took it about 12:30.
In the day?
Yeah, and I was up to like 5 in the morning.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh shit! It was a day trip and night trip.
Yeah, it was. Dude, okay. I took it. I hang up the fucking tapestry. I put on some Shpongle. And I kind of just laid there until
Which album?
Just Shuffle. Which I don't really recommend doing because
Shpongle songs usually are kind of like a
if you're ever gonna do it, if anyone does, if they fuck with Shpongle, I would recommend, even if you're gonna want to listen to hella Shpongle, I'd recommend just letting the albums play in a row.
Yeah.
Shuffle, it's too It's good if you want to remind yourself where you're at, because you're like, whoa, what the fuck? That was a weird transition.
Yeah,
oh yeah. But if you let
him
just play, you'll just forget for hours what you're doing. So
that's why I love Shpongle.
Dude, I can't really explain the Shpongle part. There was just points where I felt like I could feel my eyes rolling backwards, and then it felt like my whole body was rolling backwards, and then breaking off like into Transformers and shit. And it felt like every sound that Shpongle was making was grabbing me and pulling me into different ways. And then next thing you know, hella thoughts are flooding through my head, like weird shit, that like insecurity shit, all this shit. And then like I would like, why am I freaked out by that? And then I could see a Shpongle sound, grab it and rip it away. And then I would just forget, and it felt like a giant robotic spider was like dissecting my brain and just ripping out all the bullshit.
So this is after you hung up the tapestry, put on Shpongle, you'd already taken it, and then now you're laying down and this is all happening?
This is probably like an hour in.
Okay.
So right away. And then I start forgetting how to talk. Like at this point I don't even know if I talk. Like I'm just, in my head, I'm just like, what the fuck? And I'm just thinking, everything's making sense. Dude, at one point, I saw a visual of it looked, I don't really know how to describe exactly how it looked, but the overall summary of it, I guess, to sum it up, would be it was showing technology, and it was showing it moving like as a worm, but then like the front of the worm was like a fucking 3D printer, and it was showing history behind it, and then we were in front of it, and it was showing us like technology, like movies, like creating history, and then it showed to a point where the technology caught up to us. So there's no more shit to put out, and the technology demands more content, and we demand more content, and it's like technology's moving so fast that
we got everything.
Yeah, and I can't really figure out how to stop it. In that moment, everything made sense. I'm like, dude, technology is like a living organism.
Hell yeah, it is.
It was a fucking weird thought, and then, oh, dude, it was fucking
The invention of the internet is going to be a big thing in the history books, and it happened like not within our lifetime, but like 10 years before, 20 years before, still very recent.
When that came up, how much, I was like trying to figure out, stressed out. That's just weird, because you'll be like, oh my god, I'm so stressed out because of the drug. And then you start thinking like, well, what's stressing me out? And you're like, oh wait, these are thoughts I have every day.
Yes.
So I'm just stressed out every day. Okay. And then you just start, and then Shpongle's fucking sorting shit out.
I love the way that you describe that, because as someone who has taken LSD, listened to Shpongle, I feel like I know that feeling of like their sound coming in and like ripping a thought, or like changing a thought, just like it like injects itself into your thoughts. It's very strange.
Like a thought would be like, oh, it'd be so cool to do this, and then like the thought of like, oh, but I can't do that, and then the Shpongle would grab the I can't, and I'd be like, wait, why can't I? And then I'd forget why I can't. Next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I can do that. It was so weird. Like it's removing shit. It's just, and I could see it. Like I could see it moving with the music, and it was just like grabbing me and pull. I came inside, and my girlfriend was talking to me, and I couldn't even use words. I looked like I was cheating on her. Like I looked like I was just having sex. Like I come in, I'm like, Shpongle, yeah, whatever. I hear. She's like, do you want to go outside? I'm like, I hear Shpongle, and I just run back outside. And I was out here for like 3 or 4 hours, right? Not able to talk, not really aware of what's going on, but
in the garage.
Yeah, but everything was making sense. Like everything, it just felt like shit was being explained to me. It got weird because like there's not really much, because it was so intense. There was no words. I'm not even talking at that point. But what got weird is that I was more fucked up after that, because I started being able to have input on what was going on now. Like before I was just laying there, and then once it was time to go inside, I'm starting to talk now. So now I'm like really confused. I got to a point where...
Have you already peaked? No.
I don't know. I forget.
You're still getting messed up.
It just kept kicking in and kicking in. Dude, like till like 8 o'clock at night. It was like 8 hours of kicking in. So like at one point I thought my neighbor... Like I thought I was on a set of a TV show, and I thought my neighbors could hear me, and my girlfriend was part of like Truman Show shit. Like I thought she was part of it and trying to like get shit out of me. So like I would like say something, and then she'd give me a weird look. I'm like, why are you looking at me like that? Why are you trying to get a rise out of me? And she's like, what? I'm like, and then she would like itch her ear. She's like, what are you fixing? Like, you checking your mind? I'm like, I gotta go inside. And she's like, what? I'm like, don't ask me what. They're gonna hear. Like I started, and I've never really had that before. Like,
I had my ex-girlfriend hide our phones in a different room because I thought they were listening to everything we were saying.
You just think about anything could be possible. It's crazy how fucking. You could be talking with people and time, like you're aware of people time. That sounds so bro, but like you're aware of regular time, but then there's also tripping time going on with you. So like I can talk to, like let's say if you were her, I could talk to you, but then I'd have a thought that feels like it's going into like a wormhole where I could think about it for an infinite amount of time within 5 seconds while I'm having a conversation.
Yes.
And then I'm like, it seems so real that I could say it to you, but I don't have words to do it, and then I'm confused, and then I get insecure that I'm confused, and it was just a lot of that. It was just like,
one of the most difficult things from tripping, in my opinion, is trying to articulate what you're getting out of it in the experience and what's being done, like the synapses in your brain or whatever, what's happening. And I feel like that's why Terrence McKenna and Alan Watts are so popular in the communities, because they're just amazing at articulating the experience.
They're like Android Jones or Alex Gray, but talking about the psychedelic. Like they recreate the psychedelic experience. They talk about
100%. That's a funny one, and definitely this is why my favorite part of tripping is always after the peak, because I feel like then you're able to talk, you've gotten most of what you're going to get out of it, now you have the confidence to be like, yo, this is what I was going through in that moment, yo, it was crazy, where like, when you're still up in it, sometimes that's where a lot of shit gets figured out, but that's also like the chaos fucking phase, it's like the confusion phase.
Dude, at one point, you were talking about just, I don't know what you said reminded me of it, but it's crazy how like after that Shpongle moment though, it was there's a moment between the Shpongle, or after the Shpongle and before the panic, where I felt, it was like the first time I actually felt like a wild animal that wasn't wild. Like I just felt like I was actually in the moment. Like I wasn't thinking about shit. Like I was sitting next to a tree, just rubbing the fucking trunk. Just listening to dogs bark, and I could hear the neighbor's dog getting pissed, and I'm like, damn, that dog is mad. That fool's hella mad.
See, this is why people call hippies tree huggers. You're over there petting a tree. It is weird though. I ate mushrooms with a group of people one time, and I instantly just like kind of walked away from the whole group. Was sitting out on the back porch and just went and like took my shoes off and sat by a tree, like up against a tree. Like something about it when you're tripping, you're just like, this feels so much better.
It shows you like your true self, or what you can be. You notice so much shit, man.
You do.
I feel like I also should mention people like hearing the visual sides of shit.
Yeah.
The side of things. And I usually always talk about what I get out of it, because I feel like sometimes I forget that I'm having visuals, because
there's so much going on mentally.
Yeah, because we were talking about the mushroom video before. I think it was with yours, and we were talking about how when you're younger, there's not much to expand on.
Right.
And so I feel like it's kind of like that, where when you don't have much to think about, you're more like, what the fuck am I seeing? And maybe that's just me. I don't want to say for anybody. But then the more you're like stressed out with shit, the more it's like, what the fuck am I thinking?
Yeah.
You know? And you just forget. And then like I didn't even realize I was face down on the floor, next to the speaker. Like I was just getting closer, like turning it up more and more, and I had one hand on the ground, and every time like the bass would be like boom, boom.
Yeah.
Like dude, Shpongle feels like a living spore at some point. Like at one point I could feel the energy, like every time it would go boom, it would grow more inside my house. I was like, please get to my girlfriend, make her like Shpongle, get her. Infect her.
Hit her with that Shpongle.
But every time
Oh my God.
I was seeing these purple veins surging out of my hand and just growing all over the concrete, and then they'd break off into more veins, and they were surging and glowing, and then I would look up and I would see glowing like shooting, and then at one point, bro, it looked like this was, because I was sitting in that chair too behind the camera, at one point it looked like this was growing out 3D, like someone had like a ball with a stick on it and stuck it out from behind it, and it looked like I was looking at the top of a circus tent, and I was seeing things move.
Oh,
dude,
shit.
tapestry, Shpongle, and staring at something simple.
Dude, no,
Dude,
seriously.
and
Last time,
it felt like I was watching it. I was like, this is it. Like, Shpongle's it.
Right.
I can't even, like, what is happening?
No,
it's just like taking forms that I don't even know. It's moving. It's interacting.
There's a reason
with me.
why if you look at like online forums and shit of like what's the best music to trip to, there's a reason why Shpongle will be one of the most mentioned ones.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it. I listened to them sober, thought they were all right, but listening to them on a psychedelic, which you not pushed on me, but you definitely like
shit in there.
fucking you snuck that shit in there, and I'm glad you did, because that was a whole different experience. And like you're saying, when you're hugging the speaker, I felt the same way when we were listening to it out in the garage. I felt like, I don't remember what you asked at one point. I'm not trying to mix up trips. This is a separate trip from his experience that he's been talking about. But I don't remember what you asked me, but I just remember being like, as long as I have water and Shpongle, I'm all good. Because that's all I needed at that time. And you said just laying closer and closer to the sound too, because there's so much different noise going on in Shpongle. I don't know.
Dude, that's the thing that like I just kept screaming, what
excited.
the fuck? Because you hear every sound, and I'm like, I was trying to explain to my girlfriend because she hasn't tripped or anything, so like it's hard because I get why someone doesn't like. I'm like, for you it sounds like noises, but once you trip to it, dude, he's able to take like audio clips and music from other songs and songs he made and shit that didgeridoos players, and then he somehow makes it sound like it all came from the same thing. Like, like when you listen to rappers or whatever, and then they take a cut for something, you can kind of tell, or it's more obvious how it's like it's in there. Where he like he'll have Terrence McKenna talking, he'll be like, "Well, I grew It's like, how did you do that? Every sound he makes is organic and it flows. Everything sounds so off
That's
tune,
a good way to put it.
but everything is in tune at the same time.
Right.
It's like a rhythm, I guess. Like it sounds so. When
yes.
you really listen, it's everything is in rhythm with it.
When I listened to it, before I listened to it tripping, I felt the same way. I felt like it was just like random noises trying to mess with you and stuff. But then when you listen to it trip and you realize how perfectly it flows in and out, and how, I don't know, there's.
I feel like
I can't even explain the way Shpongle songs are like. It reminds me of like. It's a straight journey. Yeah, it's a straight up journey. It fucking, you have to give the song a chance to breathe, but it takes you on a journey, and it won't, more than likely it won't repeat like the best parts, or if it does, it's changed. Like it's kind of like life. You don't go back by the same shit twice identical. It's not like where songs repeat shit. You know, just like, here's that chorus you already heard, here's that verse from earlier you already heard. Like, it's always something a little different. I love it.
Psychedelics are fucking dope.
Life-changing.
They're life-changing. But I feel like I have to add this too, just because I gotta be real. I don't want to sell only the positive. There was a point where I was panicking. I couldn't figure out what I was doing.
Cry, bro?
Huh?
Did you cry, bro? I cry almost
dude,
every trip. That's why I have to say it like that. Yeah. I cry almost every trip.
Dude, there was a point where I didn't even know I was crying. Like, I thought I was sweating, and I'm like, what the fuck? It was just pouring. I need to drink some water. I'm gonna pass out from dehydration at this point. Shit.
Dude, one time, it was psycho. I went from laughing to crying, and then back to laughing because I just started crying.
You know what I think that means? I could be wrong, but I feel like schizo. No, I think, I don't know if everyone does this, but I just feel like a lot of people have to feel like they have to repress their emotions.
Yes.
In order just to keep going forward. And I think over time, that shit just gets backed up. And I don't think it really goes anywhere. Like, I think we think out of sight, out of mind. But that shit's just, it's just storing up. And it's just like a fucking, it's filling. And then you gotta just,
yeah, when you take psychedelics, it definitely.
You might have to take psychedelics. Maybe need a vacation. Maybe need, I don't know what, something. It's such a trip. I wish I could do, like, I'm trying to describe it as good as I can. Hopefully getting better and better over time. But
driving a psychedelic trip is not easy.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm only describing funny shit. Like, there was tons of shit. Like, I feel like I have to be real with it too, which I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to
be real, guys.
I'm trying to figure out how to put into words without, like you were saying before in the last one, like without getting too personal, but also trying to share some shit, because I also want to share some shit with you.
Right.
Maybe people can relate to it. But I don't know. It just shows. I don't know. Like, I feel like sometimes you put your. I don't know. I find myself putting myself off sometimes and just getting caught up too much in my own head to where the point that I'm not even worrying about what I'm doing. I'm not being in the moment with friendships. I'm not being in the moment with relationships or with family. I'm not actually enjoying what I'm doing, even though I'm doing it.
Yeah, you're just going through the motions.
Yeah, and I'm just going through it while thinking about other shit and being stressed out. I'm like this, and then I realize in that moment, like, that is what my problem is. But I'm so worried about where things are going because I'm worried about the future that it's hard for me to be in the moment. But then I'm realizing I'm causing problems in my life because I'm not being in the moment with my current life. So then that makes me fucked up, and it makes me, so there's all these things. It's just like, oh fuck, I realize all these things are triggering weird. Like, that's why I'm anxious, or that's why I'm fucking feeling uncomfortable all the time.
I feel like, and this is why I like doing these trip reports too, is I feel like by you describing what you got out of your trip like that, I feel like I can take like a very small piece of that. Obviously not as like to as great of an effect because I didn't go through the trip, but I feel like I can relate to it a bit and look at my life and be like, I do that too. I always like act like I got somewhere else to be or that I am like busy doing something, and yeah, half the time then once I'm all done doing shit, I ain't got no one to kick it with because everybody's like, nah bro, you're busy all the time. Right. It's like that happens sometimes. Thanks for checking out this video, y'all.
Love ya. We out.
Yay!